Welcome back, everybody, to the Little Less Fear podcast, and happy Pride Month, LGBTQIA, and all the other identifications that I'm not able to say because I don't know them all by heart, actually. But anyways, I'd like to welcome Lee Hopkins, and this is actually my second time interviewing him. We get along great. He's an amazing coach as well. But for the sake of coming out series, he is an incredible human being, and he has volunteered to tell us his coming out story. Keep in mind that all of our stories here are to motivate others. And if others are feeling alone and they have got questions about their identity or where they might fit into the spectrum, hopefully some of this can enlighten some of these people or whoever, the individuals that have some questions. And you can also email us and we'll give you that information at the end. Welcome to A Little Less Fear podcast. Welcome back, Lee Hopkins.
Thank you so much, Lino. Man, that's such a great introduction. I'm blushing over here. Like, I'm an overall great human being. I think it's
Well,
really
absolutely. I mean, we're all here to make a difference in the world and to help uplift people and humanity. So thanks so much for the work that you do.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad to share my story too.
Yeah, so tell us about how it all began with you. How old were you when you questioned or knew or felt that something was not the quote unquote norm?
Yeah, the quote unquote norm. So I'd like to take it back to, I know a lot of people think about their gender and stuff a lot younger these days, but I think I was in my teens when I started thinking about sexuality. So I'm a trans man, and I presented as a trans man up until my I presented as female up until my early 30s.
Okay.
Because I didn't really have the language or the understanding of what it was to be trans, what that looked like, or anything like that. What was I feeling and experiencing? So I know that for myself, I talk about how I came out as a lesbian first before I've come out as trans, because I know those things are exclusive, are mutually exclusive. Like
Right.
people who are trans men aren't necessarily attracted to women, they're attracted to men or other people on the spectrum. So I want to come out and tell you about my story as a lesbian first,
Yeah.
because that's probably what I knew that I was
Time.
experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So this was in the 90s. And man, that seems so far ago, but
Yeah.
it was in the 90s. And my experience was that I kind of grew up being a loner and distant and not really connected with people, not understanding like what it was about, the women, the girls around that were attracted to men or attracted to boys rather. I'm like, that's not really what I like. I'm not really interested in that. And I think women are kind of cool, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much as far as I took it, because I didn't I grew up in a household where that stuff was really taboo. And talking about sexuality wasn't even anything we really talked about as well, like being attracted to people. That wasn't even something we talked about. And I didn't really know. All I saw was that on TV, it's bad. And I didn't see it in the neighborhood. I didn't see any other representation of it. I just knew that I wasn't the same in talking about boys as my other friends were. Instead, I wanted to kind of run with the boys. I wanted to play with them. I wanted to jump and climb trees and be a tomboy. That was my jam. And I just thought, well, all right,
That's
that's
what
that's
felt
who I
comfortable
am.
for you.
What's that?
That's what felt comfortable for you.
Yeah, that's what felt comfortable for me, is to do those things and be that way. And again, it's not mutually exclusive. That personality trait, this
Right.
thing that I'm running around doing things that are quote masculine, doesn't mean that I'm going to be a trans person. Doesn't mean that I'm going to be a lesbian. It just came up as this is what I feel, and I didn't really start acting upon this until I moved away and went to college. I'll never forget, like one of the first days I was there at college, I have this idea that I'm supposed to be attracted to men. I'm supposed to be attracted to men. I need to find a boyfriend or something along those lines, because that's what you do. That's what people did in my
That's what you do
neighborhood.
when you're female, right?
Yeah, that's what you do. And so I'm walking around on campus, and I grew up in a small town in Ohio. So in campus, it seems to be huge. There are people from different states all over my state. And I'm just like enamored. And I'll never forget, I'm walking through the student union, and I see a woman coming at me with low cleavage, and I did a double take. This was completely involuntary. I was just like, ooh, whoa.
Yeah, right. What was that?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Yeah, right.
What the heck happened? So I was like doubling down on this fact that, oh, that was wrong. And I need to find a boyfriend. I need to do something about whatever that was and never do it again. And I tried to repress that. So a couple of years later, so I'm discovering myself in my early teens, right? Mid-teens, I'm discovering that, oh, this might be something that I'm feeling. But in my 20s, I really like decide that, well, there's been way too many double takes, and I'm way too attracted to not even just try. Like, what's gonna happen if I try? And what's gonna happen if I like it? I don't know, because I don't really like this thing with guys. It's okay, but I don't really like it. So I go and I start dating women, finding people online like Yahoo chat.
Yeah.
That might be something that people can't relate to today, but it's like
I remember Yahoo Chat.
yeah.
The chat rooms.
You go in the chat rooms and you just kind of put out your age, sex, and location and
Yeah,
hope
that was
people
fun
will
actually. I
respond.
enjoyed doing that stuff back then.
Oh yeah.
It was exciting. It was like, oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I met a couple people and I made some connections. And the first woman that I dated was absolutely interesting. Interesting. She was more of a tomboy than I was. She was about 6'2", and
Wow.
she was, yeah. And mm, she and we had a nice connection, and I was like, oh, I really like this. And if I can be candid,
You could be as
I
candid as natural as you can be.
okay. Well, the sex was different and it was much better. So I was like, wow, what? Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. This feels right. Like the sex with men really didn't feel like it was all about me, or didn't feel like, I guess I just wasn't into it emotionally. And so I was like, yeah, this is what I want. So then at that point in time, about my 20s, 22, and I started kind of sharing this information with my family, and they didn't like it. They're like, men and women belong together, and I need to find a man and be with men. But after that, I just started dating women because that was what I wanted. That was what felt right to me, and that's what I enjoyed. So I considered myself a lesbian in the mid 20s. So that's where my coming out story came to be. And if I was away from home, so I had more flexibility to do what I wanted to do. I was financially, emotionally, and physically independent.
Hmm.
I wasn't home. I didn't have to put up with anything like threats or people snooping in my business. I had enough distance between me. I had enough space, physically, emotionally, financially, that I could go experiment and do what I want. And I understand it's tougher when you're not able to do that, when you're living
Oh
at
yeah,
home
it's
and
a
you
lot
want to
tougher
date
for
someone.
sure. Right.
Yeah. So my life continued that way. And that was one of the things that really helped me grow and come out. So I'm continuing on. I'm still feeling this alongside of this discovery that I like women and I want to date women. I want to be with women. I'm feeling also that there's something that's not right about me in this relationship. And I feel like, well, I can provide more. I can do more, quote, masculine things. I want to do more masculine things. And I can't do them because I don't have the right body to do them. Not because of what society says you need to be a provider, you need to do this, you need to be emotionally supportive, all those things. Not because of that. It's because physically I'm feeling like this isn't right. I have breasts and I hate them. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't think this is right for me. It doesn't fit. I'm looking at my body and there's dysmorphia all over.
Yeah.
And I don't like the interactions that I'm having with other men because I'm thinking that, well, I understand what your experiences are, but I don't. I
Right.
don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't. And I want to connect to that. I want to be seen as them. I want to be seen as connected with them on a level that I wasn't able to be connected with before. And I didn't have the language for it. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know what I was experiencing. But I recall dating someone who was um, about 10 years older than me, dating a woman who was about 10 years older than me. So we fast forward to my late 20s. So I'm dating women and I'm still kind of not sure about what this trans thing is.
Right.
Never even actually understand the language behind it in my late 20s. So they present to me something called The Secret, which is
A book.
a book. Yeah, we watched the video. We watched the
Yeah.
video on it. Yeah. And it's basically, you manifest your life, you manifest your experiences based
The law of
on
attraction.
what
Yeah.
the law of attraction. Yeah. And so with her, I spent a lot of time on Facebook and just connecting with her that way. And I saw a picture of a woman who was uh, naked. Essentially, she was looking in the mirror, well, top half. And you can't see the front of her, but you can see her reflection in the mirror, and the reflection in the mirror was a man. So it was her being trans. And I was like, that, I don't know what it is, but that
That
right
makes
there.
sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me right there. And I'll never forget that picture, but I didn't have the words to it, but the manifestation, I kind of saw it and I'm like, okay, yeah, where is this showing up and how is it showing up in my life? And like, what else makes sense about this to me? If I can reflect back on it, what else makes sense to me? And it was then that I still didn't have the language for it, but I knew what I was looking at. It
Hmm.
made sense. So after our relationship ended, I had an opportunity to move to Chicago. And there in Chicago, it was around the time that Caitlyn Jenner was coming out.
Yeah.
And people were like understanding what trans was. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand. And by the way, I said something along the lines like, she doesn't even look like she's a trans person. And I'm like, I know that's highly offensive, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what that is with
Right.
her. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
And so there I got the language. I
Hmm.
found the queer people who had the language to help me understand what's going on with me and what does it mean to be trans, and how it's not really doesn't even have to be a physical manifestation or a surgical manifestation of it. It's just like a deeper meaning of how you feel inside. And I'm like, oh, all this stuff. I didn't know. I didn't know. Now I have all the language and I have all the support and I have all the things that I want to do to make myself um, be the person that I thought I should be the person I felt I was inside, be
Hmm.
that woman who was looking at that man in the mirror and seeing like, this is it. So in Chicago, I basically hit the ground running. It's about 6 months, and I decide I'm going to transition. I have the job that provides all the tools or provides all the medical care, the time off, everything that I needed, the support actually to make the transition. And I know I've been very fortunate because it was just kind of like I've got the realization and I'm able to put something into action. I got the space from the family or the criticism to be able to feel confident enough to take this risk. And again, I had the same ability when I transitioned from male to female in that experience. And so that's been my experience with transitioning. And we could talk more about how it is to date, what it is to pack, and all those things. If
How long have
this
you
were to
been in
go,
transition now, Lee?
I've transitioned. Let's say it's been 6 years.
6 years. Awesome.
Hmm.
Congratulations. You look wonderful too, by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
So how is dating now? Now as a trans man.
Sucks. It's just like any other dating. It's just like any other
Right.
dating. Yeah, but it's all about you know being comfortable enough to reveal who you are
Mhm.
to other people. And I realized that I had a problem with not being my authentic self. And I thought, well, stepping into
Right.
to being trans is going to be my authentic self. But then I still have to reveal that to people. I still have to feel comfortable doing that, revealing that to people. And it's been a process to figure out, well, who is safe to reveal this to, who's going to be comfortable with me. And then, when is the right time to do it? Because it's certainly not the right time when we're about to get into bed together.
Right.
And I was like, oh, by the way, and
Exactly.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
So when are
um,
you revealing it right now when you're dating? Do you reveal right away or how are you dating? Are you doing it online? Or are you meeting people at the shop? Or how are you dating?
I found it is best to do it online. Right now, I found it's best to do it online, especially because of COVID.
Right.
But on OKC, you can just say that you're trans, and people will know
Okay.
before they're going to engage. So it does the filtering for you. You don't have to deal with this revelation, like realization that they're not interested in you, although you have a great personality. Because ouch, I mean, we just wasted each other's time here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah. And so to do it in person though, I try to do it as quickly as possible if I feel like there's some kind of romantic possibility. So if we both know that we're sitting and we have the intention of dating or connecting with each other in that way, then I want to reveal it as soon as I understand that they may be attracted to me or I may be attracted to them. And then because that's a deal breaker. So it's the
Of
best to get it
course.
out of the way
Yeah.
as quickly as possible. So if they're not interested, no harm, no foul. I understand that's how they feel.
Sure.
Hmm.
And how is that coming along so far? Like revealing right away.
Revealing right away, it shows me a lot that people aren't ready.
Hmm.
Either people aren't ready to experiment, because although trans people are known, we're only 1% of the population,
Hmm.
so it feels kind of rare. And I've seen people be disappointed in me too. Never forget this guy. I was dating women, but presenting as male and still having, I guess, some feminine energy, I
Hmm.
guess. So
Sure.
whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
And so there's a guy who seemed attracted to me, and we're talking, and I just didn't think about us being a couple because I wasn't really attracted to him. I just wanted to be like connected to somebody. So
Hmm.
I'm thinking of a friendship. I want to open up. I want to be
As a human
authentic.
being. Yeah.
Yes, I want to be authentic. And his face just kind of went like sad disappointment. And we were sharing a drink together, and he was just like, like he checked out of the conversation completely. He
Mhm.
wasn't interested in talking to me anymore because I think they just wanted to hook up and call it a
Mhm.
day. And I just wasn't interested in that. But I felt more of rejection and disappointment in that way because I revealed myself. And for the people out there who are listening to this, you are going to feel that. And it's okay. You're not going to die. I promise.
Mhm.
I haven't died yet.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
you I reframed it to feel like, well, I'm lucky because people, it's self-filtering. I don't have to make too many choices. Things will just kind of move for me. And the people who really want to be with me, I know they really want to be with
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Hmm.
So how's it going now? Is it
How's
still yeah, are you teeter-tottering between online and in person?
um I haven't done much of online because all of it's exhausting.
It
All
is
of it's exhausting.
exhausting.
I'm trying to hold up a great face up here, but man, it is exhausting.
It is.
Like just online dating, there's so much distraction, so much information, so many options that you throw trans on top of it. You like very few people are trying to talk to you in the first place. And then
Right,
when they do, they're distracted. So it's like,
right.
just give me a break from this.
Sure,
So
sure.
I've definitely taken a break from doing that. I have talked to people outside of like in the real world, and for the most part, I scope them out for friendship first because I'm in it for the long haul. So I'm in my late 30s now.
Mhm.
I'm in it for the long haul, And the kind of connection I want to make with people isn't just a sexual, fun, quick hookup. I
Right.
want to get to know them as a person first and a friendship. And if anything romantic comes out of it, then I can start revealing more about me and my body. Otherwise, I just kind of leave it there. And maybe depending on how deep our friendship goes, I'll reveal more about my body.
Lee, now that you've gone 6 years, thanks for sharing that, by the way. I totally get you with the dating. It's not the
It's
easiest as a trans man, but I don't think
no,
it's easy for anybody actually, especially these days,
yeah.
But I have a question. How is your relationship now with your family now that you're 6 years into your transition as a trans man?
Well, my family relationship wasn't that great in the first place. Honestly, I'm just so different in so many ways that I'm hard to understand for them. And I'm accepting that. So that's how my relationship is, where we're trying to rebuild this. So I'm working on understanding them
Hmm.
because I've done all this growth. I've had the space to experiment and to learn more about myself and to grow in these ways.
Hmm.
And now I want to look back and see, well, how has that impacted my family?
Right.
Because there's more than one person in this relationship. I have an interpersonal relationship with each one. And my transition impacted them in some way. The fact that I'm different in so many ways they don't understand, I want to go back and see if I can help them understand that. Not compromising who I am, not apologizing for what I've done, but just helping them understand, hey, this is what I've chosen to do. And let me hear how it has impacted you
Right.
so we can be connected. I'm not going to try and change you. I'm not going to try and force you to go
Sure.
um, do things for the LGBTQIA plus community. I'm
Right.
not going to try and get you to change your way, but I would like you to understand me, and I would like to understand you so that we can be connected and we can talk to each other.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
That sounds great.
It's hard.
And
It's
what kind
like,
of advice can you give, Lee, to people who are questioning any at any age? What kind of advice now, having have gone through being a lesbian and experimenting with the spectrum, and then now being a trans man, what kind of advice can you give people who are questioning themselves?
yeah, well, I would say that so you are questioning, really focus on how you feel because I firmly believe that our feelings drive a lot of what we do and how we experience the world. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah. So if you're feeling like this is something you want to try, but you're unsure of, what's the harm in actually trying for yourself? You can
Right.
do it, you can have this experience, and then reflect on how you feel having this experience instead of wondering for years upon years upon years, what if you have done
Hmm.
this thing? Do it, decide if you like it or not. Decide if you don't even have to decide, just like focus on how you feel about it
Right.
and wonder if you want to do it again. Be mindful is, I think, the new term for it. Just be mindful of how you feel and go for it. That's what I would advise.
I love it. Thanks so much for giving me that advice. I will go for it, Lee.
Yeah, and honestly, really quick, I'd like to share with you a quick story about how
Yes.
I was dating women and I was dating women, dating women, dating women. And then I transitioned, right, I'm a male, and I'm not having much luck with catching lesbians because they're not interested in men. They don't
Right.
want this hairy stuff going on. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
dang, man, maybe I'll try dating men because men started talking to me.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, tried that. And you know what? I still didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I did. I wondered if it would be different because I'm a different person. Would it
Right.
be? And then you know what? Later on along the line, I can try it again and I can decide if I like it or not. If this,
Hell yeah, you can, Lee.
yeah, right?
Yeah, this is your life, your body, your happiness, and you get to
Yes.
pave your own way.
Yes, right on, right on. That's high five,
High
man.
five. How can our viewers, our watchers, and our listeners find you, Lee?
You can find me at patternsofpossibility.com. I share more of my story and I help coach people make genuine connections.
Are you on social media?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I forget about that because there's so much of it going on. But you can find me at Patterns of Possibility on Instagram, Twitter, and all other social medias. I'm out there.
Patterns of Possibility with
Hmm.
Lee Hopkins, and your pronouns?
My pronouns are he, him, his.
Mr. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Mr. Lee Hopkins, thank you so much for your wonderful coming out story on a Little Less Fear podcast. I hope you have a little less fear after this, and I hope our listeners, our viewers, and our watchers also have a little less fear. And if they have any questions, they can reach out to us. Thanks so much for being an awesome guest.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Loved it.
We'll chat soon. Take care now.